Now I'm going to restart it again.
They don't keep an instant report.
Hey, we're back on. Okay, now, you were talking about this Jackie at the shelter, okay?
She's the boss of the, all the staff's boss, the main boss.
She's the main boss.
Shelter.
Yeah.
She was at the Heron Road when this happened, before they transferred everybody to O'Connor.
Yeah, because I understand, I know the O'Connor shelter, Cornerstone there, was disrupted during and moved during the convoy.
Yeah, and that's, well, it was before the convoy because, yeah, when I was there, when I lost my house in December.
You mean the convoy wasn't even running when they took all you people?
No, it was COVID.
Everything
was blocked. Everything was blocked.
That's why they opened it up.
Okay, because I was hearing things that they took you guys out of there because of the convoy. With the noise.
No, I was still there. I was still there.
Before that.
Yeah, because that was where you and I were in 2010.
No, there was nobody in the O'Connor. They were supposed to be doing the $1.5 million infrastructure to fix it.
Yeah, the renovation.
They didn't do a thing.
They didn't do nothing.
They put they painted over everything. That's another story. What happened over there. There was, but at the Heron Road, when I got there, I never been to a shelter before, so I was shocked at what I was seeing. And you got to remember, there's a lot of noise in there at night.
Schizophrenia, mental problems, yeah.
So it's very hard to sleep.
Addicts.
So in the middle of the night, like, I would get up, because I'd always be in bed by dark.
So you were, like the shepherds, you were seeing people shooting up and stuff in their rooms at night?
From the bathroom.
Well, they were in my bedroom doing needles right beside me and smoking crack, and then she's yelling at me to wear a mask while I sleep. I tell staff, and they say, leave her alone, she's fine. I said, why do I have to sleep beside her? How do I know she's going to stick a needle in my arm?
But we didn't have that back in 2010 from that show.
No, back then, no. It wasn't that bad. But today, it's really, it's getting worse.
Yeah, because they had, and even though the staff was giving out the medications back then, everything was given out properly.
Properly, yeah. Today, they don't give a damn. It's like a pandemic.
It's like I notice this because, like I said, I pay attention to everything. Like
Same here.
I notice things. And before we get to the jacket thing, but what I noticed is that they tend to sweet talk the
manipulation,
the drug addicts, and pet them like this. Oh, you're a good girl. Don't worry. As they know they're outside selling their bodies in the middle of the night, and they don't care. But it's the people they don't like is like me and her, because I'm noticing. I say, wait a second, what's going on here? Because like when I get up in the middle of the night because of noise, go outside, have a cigarette. Everybody's high, whoever is awake. But I go out and have a cigarette, and sure enough, because I watched. And the first day I said, isn't it? What, do you know that men circle this building like looking
predators? There's predators at night. I told you about it a couple times.
Yes,
looking for their $20 blowjobs and stuff.
Exactly, cars and constantly turning around.
Yeah, and I thought this was a secret where this place was supposed to be.
Well, that's what even back in 2010, but the men were still finding us at least for the prostitution issues back in those days. We didn't have the opioid situation that we have today.
No.
They don't even stop it. They don't even try to assist them in any way. They just let them sit there and do whatever they want and wait for them to die and then stick that thing in them. But Jackie, who when I was sitting there that one time in the winter, and so I was paying attention as vehicles go by, and the girls are all over in the other corner doing drugs. I sat by myself with my coat on, and I see this van pull up. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And it looked shady because it wasn't circling. It came right by the doors, opened up its back doors, and stood there. 2 men, what I would call shady-looking men. So I'm really paying attention to what they were doing. And out comes Jackie out the back door with one of these big trolleys where you hold all the food. And on these trolleys, the way they have them, it's like a long, and then you have 4 spots for like those big silver trays that they would serve dinner in.
Yeah, because when I came back in with the church once a month, we use those trays and we take them to the door and we'd help serve the food.
The woman,
yeah. Well, the women don't get much food there, and it's always like really old, second-day-old sandwiches and stuff like that, like the old sandwiches. But when I was watching, I'm like, what is she doing? The 4 big trays, and then beside it, there's about another area about this big, piles with food, boxes of stuff, food. So I'm like, and the guys were right beside me because they were looking at her, and I said, why are you stealing from homeless women? Why are you stealing food from homeless women? He looks at me, he goes, because she said we could. Pointed right to her, and then she saw me.
They don't care, they just take whatever they want.
How many times does she do this? Are they taking turns on who gets to steal the food that week? I don't know. But when she
But it
saw
almost sounds like what they're doing is they're taking all your checks, all your money. They're buying the food, but they're not feeding you with it. It sounds like it's going out the back door to someone else.
Yeah, I was telling you that by the cars at night. They open the trunk.
Yeah.
Here, put big boxes on. That's it. That's all. Like 5 in the morning. I saw it too.
Yeah, and the women are eating. I think donated sandwich, city food that was deals at restaurants can't serve.
Yeah,
that's what they serve.
And it smells like mold sometimes too. Like really, really bad.
Yeah.
Well, I remember.
I have to throw it out.
Yes, Diane. I remember you describing this Jackie as being a black woman.
Yeah.
There was another circumstances where I ran into someone else who was from the shelter.
Yeah.
And she was helping me with an overdose at the time. Then I was on the phone with the 911 operator. And after we got off, she was gratefully able to help me. We didn't have to give her the naloxone, but she had taken some fentanyl. She was down on the ground. Her little dog I couldn't even arouse her. Ironically, I got called over because I saw this guy on the far side. I saw a police car go right by me, and this guy was trying to flag down the police car. So I went in and I tried to help. And of course, I don't know much about drug overdoses and stuff. So that's not exactly my department. So I was on the phone trying to explain what was going on. And this lady came up, and she'd been a former addict. She'd been recovered, but she knew what she was looking for. So she was using my phone, and we were talking with the operator, and we did finally get her on her feet. And after we got her on her feet and that, she and I were privately talking, and this was just before Thanksgiving this year. And so what she ended up, we were talking about some of the stuff, and I said, she said, well, I'm in the shelter. And I said, which one? And she mentioned Cornerstone. And I said, oh, I was there 12 years ago now. And she said, well, and then she started just talking about the shelter, what was going on, about the abuse, about the drugs being taken in the middle of the night, same thing that you're talking about. And then she said, what really perked me up was after the story of Jackie was, oh yeah, and then Jackie, I caught her taking food out the back door, and I looked, and because she didn't even say black lady as you told me, and I looked at her and I repeated, I said, Jackie, is she a black lady? And she said yes.
She's the main boss.
Yeah.
She is, yeah.
And you know what she did because she knew I caught her? So I didn't realize how the rules went because the next night it was, I don't know, midnight, and one of the employees came into the room and started beside my bed banging the move, those things they separate the beds, for nothing. Nobody was coming into the room. She's moving things around in the dark. And because I'm the only one who wasn't doing drugs, I was in bed earlier and everybody else was out playing, right? And I said, do you mind? I'm trying to sleep. I said, I'm trying to sleep. She goes, this isn't your room. I can do what I want. And I said, yeah, and I wasn't feeling well. I said, get in my room. And next thing you know, I was thrown out in the winter during COVID. Midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I was punished like a little child, put outside for 2 hours because I swore when they were in there for no reason, but it was because they were antagonizing me.
Yeah, they you, provoking you, and abusing them.
And then, this is the worst part of it, because I'm like, and I'm crying, I'm like, they can do this? And the other girls are going, yeah, they can't. You gotta be quiet or they're gonna throw you out. They're gonna tell you to leave. And I said, holy shit. So I sat out there, and the girl gave me her jacket. 2 of the ladies sat beside me so I could be warm. And then next thing you know, 2 hours went by, so I go inside, and I'm pissed, eh? 5 minutes later, the police show up. Get out.
So she called the police on you?
She punished me.
Yeah, that's what they
then
do.
kicked me out instead of just kicking me out.
She called the police to kick you out.
Yeah, and that's another thing about the police, because when the police, you're supposed to give you an incident report of why you're being thrown out. The staff said they don't have to do that, and the police said, nothing to eat. I said, so you guys can just do what you want, when you want, and how you want? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they've been doing, they've been throwing me out, oh my God, since July 1st, and the same abuse as her.
Yeah.
And it's like throwing me out all summer, stay outside, don't come back, you're barred for life. So after that, I said, really? Okay, well, guys, I'm going for a lawsuit. And now since then, they just, they left me alone.
Well, I've got a bit of another question to ask you here, too. If you guys need medical treatment, do they get you medical treatment?
Good luck, good luck.
Oh, my God. Well, COVID, right? So the girl who was in our room got COVID, they said. But that's the funny part. So the staff is like all over the place, different ages, and everybody's a doctor now because of COVID. And she comes up and she goes, well, the girl in the room has COVID, so all of you must be tested. And I said, I feel fine. I tested. She goes, yeah, you always can't stay. I'm like, okay, test what? She goes, this is swab. Here, you take this swab, you stick it up your nose, and then you take it and put the same swab down your throat. I said, that sounds disgusting. I watched the video, Diane, you didn't, and that's how you do it. And I said, if you think I'm sticking a swab up my nose and then throwing it down my throat, no, I'm not doing that. And so she's like, wow, you're going to have to. And they argued with me about it. And I said, you know what? So I did a COVID test, but I did it the way. I said, there's no way I'm doing that. And then another lady says, oh, she told you wrong. But this is what I mean. Everybody makes up their own rules. And she's telling us to do stuff like that.
They make up stories. Just to, yeah.
So then, that's the thing with their COVID test. 1 minute it says you have nothing. And then the next day, they want you to do another one. Oh, now you have COVID. I'm like, I'm not even sick. I'm like, I have COVID. It's the tests were all wrong results. And even the girl who was doing them, she goes, I don't even know why we do this. Because 1 minute says yes, the next minute you say no. So then what happened was, now you're in a complete lockdown, but you have to remember, they had a COVID shelter place for people who had COVID, but then it was full. So what they did to us was, it was prisoners. So we weren't allowed out of our room. We weren't allowed to use showers that everybody else used, but we didn't have a shower in our room. So we basically were not allowed to take showers. We were expected to stay in that room all the time. We were allowed to go to the kitchen, even though I wasn't sick. They would bring dinner, the food upstairs, but they never asked you what you can eat. And they knew my diet. They would throw me a banana.
Well, there was but I'm sure you didn't have a bathroom in your room. Did they let you go?
We had a bathroom, no shower curtain, and guess what? That renovated O'Connor that all those renovations happened on. Well, this is where they put us in lockdown without a shower, and I was freaking out. There's not even curtains. It's almost like the building right across. Now, if you know O'Connor, you know there's a building directly across.
Yes, I know. It's an apartment building.
One of the women still to this day has no curtains. They are forced to, in the bathroom, they have no curtain. They have no shower curtain. So basically you come out, anybody in the building can watch you naked. You're in your room where you're supposed to change your clothes.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's funny. Why is it in the front? Because the other day I walked by the shelter and I saw, I don't know, I wasn't really looking for the front windows, but I noticed that the side windows, because I was just going down the side at Laurier, that they had some kind of blankets or something up on.
Women have put their sheets up there because when I was there, in January, they said, oh, they're on order, they just haven't shown up yet. But when I talked to a girl the other day, she said, they're lying.
Okay, so well, that's why I was seeing sheets and stuff then up on
they're trying to, they don't want to be shown. The building is directly across all view. And you see the guys at night, like sitting there, they can see all of us there, and we're all like for show. And no one cares.
Yeah, that's what they do too. They
when
sell the girls.
I have another question I need to ask you. There was no older woman there that did the cleaning, the maintenance.
Oh, yeah, I know her. She's a beautiful lady.
She is. Yeah, because she... Okay, can you tell me why she quit?
Well, when I was there, I was only there a short period because I got thrown out. Well, I got thrown out at Heron, and then they let me back in. Then when we went to O'Connor, the old woman was there, and I've never seen somebody work so hard. And she was, what, in her 80s? 70s?
Yes, because she was there in 2010. When you and
I don't remember her. I don't
know. Small lady,
so long.
But I'll tell you, from morning to night, mopping, cleaning, garbage, all by herself. All by herself. Sorry, I don't mean to get out of the thing. But, and I'd be like, and I would get mad at the ladies. I'm like, I'm cleaning with her. I'm going to pick up the garbage. Like, don't you feel bad that this woman has to clean after these children?
Well, I remember at one point she apparently retired. And I guess she wasn't making enough money, so she
told me she was tired of it. She was basically a slave. Well, she was all by herself. And nobody was helping with the garbage. I mean, you know, it should be a group effort. Instead of one woman cleaning, like I'm talking, instead of walking away and leaving your garbage all over the table and just walking away. And the staff, the garbage, they would sit there in the office, 4 or 5 of them, instead of, doing their job, maybe helping out with
taking nothing, just staying in the office.
They do nothing. And she's sitting there with big bags. I would help her. It was like, oh my God, like how can you just let her like that? And then she disappeared one day, and then I was told came in.
Well, I was told she quit at one point. But I know she said I met her because I knew her, and at one point earlier, a few years back, she apparently had retired. But if she had to come back, that meant she wasn't getting enough on her old age pension and stuff, that she must have had to take a second job on top of it again.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, and I would tell her all the time, like, sweetie, slow down. It's okay. Here, give me the garbage, you know? Like, I mean, it could be our grandmother. That could be, you know, like, why would you treat her like that? And why is she expected to work alone? Why we got all the women in the office sitting there with their feet up, not even wanting to come out. Like, they don't even, they have no job.
Well, I have another question I need to ask too. Is when you go in, like I know the outside door to the kitchen there has a lock on it, so you can't get into the kitchen. Now, I have been told that there's locks on the inside on the freezers and fridges and stuff. Do you know anything about that?
I don't remember. I don't recall. I've been at the Shepherd for so long, so. Yeah,
okay.
She can answer that.
I don't know. I never really. I didn't go to the kitchen a lot.
Yeah.
Because because every time I went there, it was like, great, another meal I can't have, and it took me a month to get them. My doctor or to show that I had a special diet, because you know, like they serve nothing to drink but coffee and tea.
Well, I found
sugars, but they won't
well, I found out from this one woman that was helping me with the overdose, and she was talking because she is in the shelter, that I find really strange is because she said all the fridges and stuff were all locked up. And the last time I was in serving for the church, because once a month our church was going in to serve the women good food, and they used to really come in and line up. They loved our food from the church.
Yeah, back then.
Okay, and I was always glad because I was able to come back and help the very people that helped me back in 2010. And I didn't see any locks and stuff like that on the fridges. Now I'm being told that, so if, as what you're saying, food is being stolen, then something's not adding up here. If the outside door is locked, that was good enough. Why would they have to lock up the fridges now and stuff?
Oh, I'll tell you, they should be doing something there, because they should be locked. There was an elderly woman there named Anne. I don't know if you know her.
Tells me something. The name tells me something.
She wears a red cap. She's very tiny, skinny. She likes to have her drink, but when I watch her, like she doesn't get drunk because she'll start, 10 o'clock, whatever. She'll have her little bit, but she passes out by 7. But she had a new roommate who was bringing in people into the room, feeding her alcohol all night, and because she's in there and they're all allowed to party in there, and they were smoking, and she couldn't sleep. So there was one particular night where she was banging things around. She was drunk, completely drunk.
Because of all these people giving her the alcohol.
Yeah, and what happened was...
So in other words, it sounded like they wanted to party, but they didn't want her to be bothered.
Well, they didn't want to rat her. They didn't want to get ratted out, so they fed her alcohol all night. And she just sat there and she was smoking. Everybody was smoking in the room. It was terrible. She couldn't have slept anyway. But that morning, when I can hear, because they were all fighting in the room next door, I was with this.
But this is exactly what this other woman was telling me. What you're telling me now that's going on in the shelter.
Oh my God! But I got thrown up for this too, and I told them, I said, I will hunt you down if this woman dies, because she'd been out all night drinking, which was enough, and they can tell that I said she needs a cup of coffee, is what she needs, because they're like, no. She says, I want my alcohol. Apparently, in the office, when you hold your drugs, because she's an alcoholic, they hold her alcohol in the office.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. The shepherds too. The shepherds too.
And so what I did is I said, she was drunk, so she said, I want my alcohol. Give me my alcohol. So the woman comes out, unlocks the door, hands her a Mickey, fills a coffee cup. After the woman was intoxicated, all night,
yeah.
Fills her coffee cup, and I went, oh, are you crazy? She needs coffee. What are you doing? Well, we don't. You just mind your own business. I said,
this is the staff that's giving her alcohol too?
After she needed coffee, she needed somebody to give her some food, and it's okay. And they said, when they want it, we give it to them. And she went outside the front steps, and I said, if anything happens to her, I said, because that's going to be alcohol poisoning. What's the good of that?
Yeah.
She needed sleep, right? She goes outside, and they're giving me fit and telling me to mind my own business and stop getting involved. I said, I'm watching you abuse these women, and I'm sorry, but I don't shut my mouth, and I see it.
Same here. I never shut my mouth.
I never shut my mouth.
I never do.
The woman walked in, and she said, please call me an ambulance, and fell.
Did you ever see her after that?
Oh yeah, she came back. They helped her out, but the woman who was working behind the desk, who was the boss there too, I don't remember her name, but I told her, I told the ambulance too, I said, if there's anything wrong with this woman, she's responsible. She just fed her alcohol. You can't feed somebody at a bar when they're drunk alcohol, or else you lose your bar license. But yet, anybody who works in that thing can just feed people alcohol like that. And I got thrown out.
Yeah.
I got thrown out again. And then the police came. They told me, I said, where's my incident report? Because I want the proof showing why I'm being thrown out, because I was trying to protect an elderly lady. We don't have to give you an incident report. The police said, we don't have to give you one either. And that's when the guy said to me, he goes, you're all just Jerry Springer wannabes anyway. And I was like,
you're what?
Jerry Springer wannabes.
Right, yeah, okay, you want to be on TV.
Yeah,
we're all
like
white,
a talk
white
show.
trash.
Like
Yes, I know, the talk show.
And I looked at him and I said, I could be your sister, your aunt. He goes, no, you can't.
Well,
and
sorry.
I'm like, and they were throwing me out again in the middle of the night. I had to go to a hotel because I didn't know where am I supposed to go. And I ended up losing all my savings doing that because I was trying to help. Every time I got thrown out.
Same here from the Shepherd.
Yeah.
Same here, me too. Just like at the Shepherd. Get out, Julie. You're like, no, never mind. Like, you have a big mouth.
Yeah.
You're always helping people. Get out, Julie.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't need you here. Oh, really? Okay.
We're too strong, eh?
Yeah.
We won't. We're not children here. You can't just shut me up and spank
Me
me.
either. Me either.
Well, I know that when you and
Yeah,
I know,
too.
but I know none of this, or very little of it, was happening in 2010. I mean, we had some disturbances at night, but nothing like what I'm getting a description of from people right now that's happening.
That's just the topping. That's not even, like, if you get other women, like, I heard stories because I make friends, eh? Like, I talk to everybody, like, I'm like her. It's like, hey, how's it going? Wow, have a good day, stay safe. And, you know, I hand my cigarettes out because, you know, I know what it's like. And you make friends. And the stories that are coming out of there, like...
Horrible story.
horrible.
Horrible, yeah.
I didn't believe
evil.
it. Well, evil. I couldn't believe
I know,
it. And I said, this is woman-on-woman abuse. It's freaking
Man,
terrible.
too. I saw a man crying too at the Shepherd, you know, going trail, you know, getting beat on by security guards, you know, getting abused by the staff upstairs, you know, like, throwing things at them, you know. Yeah. Guys and girls, the same.
Yeah.
They're the same bullshit.
Well, I know the experience that I'm going to have to end this soon, but that at the Shepherd, not the Shepherds, but Cornerstone with you and I, the only excitement that I had in my room, I had one woman, she was okay. The other woman was an immigrant woman. She was taking English as a second language, and she was quite pregnant. And so I didn't have too much, except one night I heard a noise, and it didn't sound too good. I turned on the light, and the younger woman was having an epileptic seizure. She was taking a seizure. And so I jumped up. I knew exactly what to do. I was helping her, and I had to get the other pregnant woman to go downstairs and get the staff. The staff came up and actually helped me help her with the seizure, okay? So then we got her bundled off to the hospital, fine. She came back. Next week, I'm sleeping again, waking up. All of a sudden, no, not again, and she's having another seizure. So I'm back up, the second week in a row. So I'm up helping her again with the seizure because I knew what to do with seizures because I had a boyfriend at the age of 14, and I was sort of trained a bit to know what to do with seizures. So the staff says, thank God I'm the only one on this night to help out. I ended up having to help her, like she had to call to get an ambulance. Then I had to help her get the poor woman dressed. She was in even worse shape than the first seizure. So we got her bundled off. Okay, so the third week comes along, and I hear my name being called in the middle of the night. And I wake up, and all I can hear is my name and wake up. So I woke up, and I thought, oh, not again, another seizure. And the third week in a row, and so I look over, she's fine in the bed, and I looked at the woman who couldn't speak any English, and she just keeps repeating my name, and I'm saying, well, what's the matter? Can you tell me what's wrong? And then suddenly, well, luckily she thought to point, so she pointed at her feet. Of course, she had a puddle of water at her feet. Her water had just broke.
At the shelter. Oh
at the shelter. The third week in a row. So there I am running down the stairs to get the staff.
You're not getting paid by the hour?
No, I'm not getting paid by the hour, but I mean, that was the excitement, the major excitement that I had at the shelter, because the nice thing about it was when I went there, I was able to sleep for the first week. They just allowed me to sleep. They could see I wasn't a street person. They just realized I was really, really exhausted. So I got to sleep, started getting myself together, went out, bought a briefcase, figured out how to get myself a lawyer. They were helping me with all the paperwork and everything, and I was coming back and forth. I was talking to the workers that were helping me with the paperwork. It was so straightforward. And then when my daughter and I found an apartment, the paperwork was done, the housing was done, and then I was able to move into this place. It was so straightforward.
Do you know when I asked them Because I said, you know, I was under the impression that I could speak to somebody, have a caseworker who I can tell my, you know, what's going on and maybe help me to help myself because my identity was stolen. I never got to see one person help me. Nobody came to me.
Okay.
Like I said, and their excuse was, well, and a nurse. I wanted to see a nurse. Well, because of COVID, she's not coming this week. Oh, she's not coming next week. She's not coming the third.
Well, again, yeah.
It's always the next week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to cut this video off because it's getting quite long again to try and upload.
We can talk all night, you know that, right?
Oh, I know. We could definitely talk all night.
Yes, we can.
But a lot of things that go wrong there.
But I'm going to thank you two ladies for this, and I'm going to cut it off, and we'll probably get together again if there's more things coming up, okay? And thank you for letting me interview you, okay?
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye. You too.